Vanessa Chen hadn't wanted to go ice skating that day. It was her best friend Ashley's idea. Ashley Thompson had been planning this trip to Lake Windermere in northern Minnesota for weeks. A girls' weekend away from the stress of college finals, away from the noise of campus life, away from everything. Come on, Nessa, it'll be fun. When's the last time you did something just for yourself? Vanessa couldn't remember. Between her pre-med courses, her part-time job at the campus library, and the constant pressure to maintain her scholarship, she didn't have time for fun. She barely had time to sleep, but Ashley had insisted, and Vanessa's roommate, Brianna, had agreed to come too. So here they were, on a freezing Saturday afternoon in late January, driving 3 hours north to a small resort town known for its winter activities. The lake was beautiful. Massive, surrounded by pine forests, the ice thick and white under a grey sky. There were maybe 20 other people scattered across the frozen surface, families with children, couples holding hands, a few solo skaters gliding smoothly across the ice. Vanessa laced up her rental skates, her fingers stiff from the cold. Ashley was already on the ice, spinning, laughing. Brianna was taking pictures, her phone capturing the picturesque scene. "Come on, Vanessa, you're going to love this," Ashley called. Vanessa stood, wobbling slightly, and stepped onto the ice. It had been years since she'd skated, probably since she was 12, back when her parents used to take her to the rink in Chicago, before they got divorced, before everything fell apart. She pushed off, her skates scraping against the ice. She moved slowly at first, testing her balance. But after a few minutes, it started to come back to her. The rhythm, the glide, the feeling of freedom. Ashley skated up beside her, grinning. "See, I told you this would be good for you." Vanessa smiled. "Okay, you were right. This is actually nice." They skated together for a while, circling the area near the shore where most of the other people were. The ice was smooth here, well-maintained, safe, but after about an hour, Ashley pointed toward the far side of the lake. "Want to go over there? It looks so peaceful, no crowds." Vanessa hesitated. The far side was at least half a mile away. "Is it safe?" "Of course it's safe. The whole lake is frozen solid. It's been below zero for weeks." Brianna shook her head. "I'm good here. You two go. I'll get some more pictures." Ashley grabbed Vanessa's hand. "Come on, adventure time." They skated away from the crowd toward the middle of the lake. The ice stretched out endlessly in every direction, white and pristine. The only sound was the scrape of their skates and the wind whistling through the trees. It was beautiful, peaceful. Vanessa felt something in her chest loosen, something she hadn't even realized was tight. For the first time in months, she wasn't thinking about exams, about grades, about the future. She was just here, in this moment. They reached the far side of the lake, where the shoreline curved into a small cove. The ice here looked different, less white, more gray. Vanessa slowed down. "Ashley, I don't think we should go any further." Ashley looked back. "Why not? The ice looks thinner here. It's fine. The whole lake is frozen. Don't be such a worrier." But Vanessa's instincts were screaming at her. Something was wrong. She could feel it. "Ashley, seriously, let's go back." Ashley rolled her eyes. "Fine, but you're being paranoid." She turned to skate back toward Vanessa, and that's when it happened. A crack, sharp and loud, like a gunshot. Ashley froze. Her eyes went wide. "Vanessa!" Another crack, and then another. The ice beneath Ashley's feet was splitting, jagged lines spreading out like a spiderweb. "Ashley, don't move!" But it was too late. The ice gave way. Ashley dropped through with a scream, disappearing into the black water below. "Ashley!" Vanessa skated forward, her heart pounding, but stopped herself just before reaching the hole. The ice around it was unstable, cracking with every movement. She dropped to her hands and knees, crawling forward, spreading her weight. "Ashley, Can you hear me?" Nothing. The hole was maybe 3 feet wide, the edges jagged. Vanessa could see the water, dark, churning, impossibly cold, but she couldn't see Ashley. "Ashley!" Panic clawed at Vanessa's throat. She pulled out her phone with shaking hands. No signal. They were too far from shore. She looked back toward the main skating area. People were tiny dots in the distance. They hadn't seen what happened. They were too far away. "Help!" Vanessa screamed. "Somebody help!" But the wind carried her voice away. She turned back to the hole, her mind racing. Ashley had been under for at least 30 seconds, maybe more, in water this cold. She had minutes before hypothermia set in, minutes before her body shut down. Vanessa started to crawl closer to the edge, but the ice cracked beneath her. She pulled back, tears streaming down her face. "What do I do? What do I do?" She couldn't reach Ashley. She couldn't get help. She couldn't do anything, and Ashley was drowning. Vanessa's chest heaved with sobs. "God, please, please, I don't know what to do. Please help her. Please don't let her die. Please." She hadn't prayed in years, not since her parents' divorce, not since her mom had gotten sick and Vanessa had begged God to heal her, and God had let her suffer for 2 years before she finally died. Vanessa had decided back then that if God was real, he didn't care about people like her. He didn't answer prayers. He didn't show up when it mattered. But right now, with her best friend drowning under the ice, Vanessa had no one else to turn to. "Please," she whispered. "I know I stopped believing. I know I walked away, but please, don't take her, please." The wind stopped. Vanessa looked up. The trees, which had been swaying moments before, were completely still. The air was suddenly impossibly quiet, and then she heard footsteps on the ice behind her. Vanessa turned. A man was walking toward her, not skating, walking. His boots crunched against the frozen surface, steady and sure. He was maybe 30, with dark hair and kind eyes. He wore a heavy coat, jeans and gloves, but his face... There was something about his face that made Vanessa's breath catch. "Who are you?" she called out. "How did you get here?" The man didn't answer. He just kept walking, his gaze focused on the hole in the ice. When he reached Vanessa, he knelt down beside her. "Your friend is under there." "Yes. Please, you have to help her. She's been under for too long. I don't know how to..." "I know." His voice was calm. Too calm. Like this wasn't an emergency, like he'd done this 1,000 times before. He stood and walked to the edge of the hole. The ice didn't crack beneath him, didn't shift. It was like he weighed nothing. "Well, what are you doing?" Vanessa's voice was rising, panicked. "You can't go near there. The ice is too thin. You'll fall through too." The man looked back at her and smiled gently. "I won't fall." And then he did something that made Vanessa's heart stop. He raised his right hand, palm open, and held it over the hole. "Come up," he said quietly. The water in the hole began to move, not naturally, not like it was being disturbed by wind or current. It was rising, pushing upward. Like an invisible force was lifting it. And then Ashley's body broke the surface. She was face down, her arms limp, her skating jacket soaked and heavy. She wasn't moving. The man reached down with both hands and lifted her out of the water. He pulled her onto the ice, as if she weighed nothing, laying her gently on her back. Vanessa scrambled forward. "Ashley! Ashley!" Ashley's lips were blue. Her skin was pale. She wasn't breathing. "No! No! No! No!" Vanessa's hands hovered over her friend, not knowing what to do. "Is she..." "She's not dead," the man said. He knelt beside Ashley and placed one hand on her chest. He closed his eyes and spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. "Breathe." Ashley's body convulsed. She coughed violently, water pouring from her mouth. Her eyes flew open, wild and disoriented. She gasped, dragging in air, her chest heaving. "Ashley!" Vanessa grabbed her friend's hand, sobbing, "Oh my God, you're alive!" "You're alive." Ashley coughed again, shivering violently. What happened?" "You fell through the ice, but he—" Vanessa turned to look at the man. He was standing now a few feet away, watching them with that same calm expression. "Who are you?" Vanessa asked, her voice shaking. The man tilted his head slightly. "You know who I am, Vanessa." Her breath caught. "How do you know my name?" "I've always known your name." Vanessa stared at him, her mind struggling to process what was happening. None of this made sense. The way he'd walked on the thin ice without falling through, the way he'd lifted the water, the way he'd brought Ashley back to life with a single word. "You're not." He couldn't finish the sentence. The man smiled gently. "I am." Vanessa's legs gave out. She sat down hard on the ice, staring up at him. "Jesus?" "Yes." Ashley, still coughing and shivering, looked up at the man. Her eyes widened. "What?" Jesus knelt down between them, looking at Ashley first. "You're going to be okay. You're cold, but you're alive, and you're safe." Ashley's teeth were chattering so hard she could barely speak. I was drowning. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't see. I thought I was going to die." "You were," Jesus said simply. "But I didn't let you." He turned to Vanessa. His eyes were full of compassion, but also something else. Something that felt like a challenge. "You prayed," he said. Vanessa's throat tightened. "I didn't think you'd answer." "Why not?" "Because you never have before, Elias." Before we continue, comment where you're listening to this story from. Jesus was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke, his voice gentle but firm. "I've answered every prayer you've ever prayed, Vanessa, just not always the way you wanted." "That's not the same thing," Vanessa said, her voice breaking. "I prayed for my mom. I begged you to heal her, and you didn't. You let her suffer. You let her die." "How is that answering my prayers? Your mom isn't suffering anymore. She's with me now. She's whole. She's at peace." "That doesn't help me." Vanessa's voice rose, sharp and angry. "I needed her here. I needed her alive. And you took her away." Jesus didn't flinch. He didn't look offended or hurt. He just listened, his expression full of understanding. "I know you're angry," he said quietly, "and you have every right to be. Losing someone you love is one of the hardest things a person can go through, and I don't expect you to understand why it happened. But I need you to know something, Vanessa." He leaned forward slightly, his eyes locked on hers. "I was there. Every moment of your mom's sickness, every hospital visit, every sleepless night, every tear you cried, I was there. I held her hand when you couldn't. I whispered to her when she was afraid. And when it was time for her to come home, I carried her myself." Vanessa's chest heaved. "Then why didn't you save her? If you were there, if you cared, why didn't you heal her?" "Because some healings don't happen in this life. Some battles are won on the other side, and I know that's hard. I know it feels like abandonment, but I promise you, Vanessa, your mum is not lost. She's found, and one day you'll see her again." Tears streamed down Vanessa's face. "I don't know if I can believe that." "You don't have to believe it right now. You just have to trust that I'm telling you the truth." Ashley, who'd been listening in stunned silence, spoke up, her voice hoarse. "Why did you save me? I don't even go to church. I don't pray. I'm not a good person." Jesus turned to her, his expression soft. "You don't have to be good to be loved by me, Ashley. You just have to be you." "But I've done things. I've made mistakes. I know. Jesus reached out and placed a hand on her shoulder. I know every mistake you've ever made, every lie, every selfish choice, every moment you wish you could take back, and I love you anyway. Ashley's lip trembled. How is that possible? Because that's who I am. I don't love people because they deserve it. I love them because they're mine. He looked back at Vanessa. Both of you are mine. You always have been. Even when you stopped believing, even when you walked away. I never left you. Vanessa wiped her eyes, her voice barely a whisper. I don't know how to come back. I don't know how to trust you again. You don't have to figure it all out today, Jesus said. You just have to take the next step, and then the next one, and I'll be with you for every single one. He stood, looking down at both of them. But right now, we need to get you off this lake. Ashley needs warmth, and you both need to get somewhere safe. Vanessa looked around. They were still at least half a mile from shore. The ice between them and safety was cracked and unstable. How are we supposed to get back? The ice is broken. Jesus smiled. Watch. He turned toward the shore and raised both hands. The ice began to move, not cracking, not breaking, smoothing. The jagged cracks sealed themselves, the surface becoming solid and even. A path formed, running from where they stood all the way back to the main skating area, perfectly smooth, perfectly safe. Vanessa stared, her mouth open. How? I told you. Nothing is impossible with me. He turned back to them. Can Ashley stand? Vanessa helped Ashley to her feet. Her friend was shaking, her wet clothes already starting to freeze, but she was alive. She was standing. Jesus removed his coat and wrapped it around Ashley's shoulders. The moment the fabric touched her, she stopped shivering. Color returned to her face. Her breathing steadied. How? Ashley looked down at the coat, then up at Jesus. I feel warm. You are warm, Jesus said simply. He gestured toward the path. Go, straight to shore. Don't stop. Don't look back. Just go. Vanessa took Ashley's hand. What about you? I'll be right behind you. They started walking. Vanessa kept glancing back, expecting to see Jesus following them, but he wasn't moving. He just stood there, watching, making sure they made it safely. When they were about halfway to shore, Vanessa heard shouting. People had seen them. A crowd was gathering at the edge of the lake. Someone was calling 911. Brianna was running toward them, her face pale. Vanessa! Ashley! Oh my God! Vanessa looked back one more time. Jesus was gone. The coat that had been wrapped around Ashley was gone too. Ashley was wearing her own wet jacket again, shivering violently. Where did he go? Ashley whispered. Where's the man who saved me? Vanessa shook her head. I don't know. They reached the shore, and paramedics immediately wrapped Ashley in thermal blankets. Brianna was crying, hugging them both. What happened? We saw Ashley fall through the ice. How did you get her out? Vanessa opened her mouth but didn't know what to say. Ashley spoke first, her voice quiet. Someone saved me. Who? Brianna asked. Ashley looked at Vanessa, and Vanessa looked back. We don't know, Vanessa said finally, but he was there, and he pulled her out. The paramedics loaded Ashley into an ambulance. She had mild hypothermia, but was otherwise okay. She's incredibly lucky, one of the EMTs said. Another minute under that ice and she wouldn't have made it. Vanessa rode with her to the hospital. As they drove away, she looked out the window back at the lake. The ice where Ashley had fallen through was still broken, jagged, dangerous. But the path they'd walked on, the smooth, perfect path Jesus had created, was gone, like it had never existed. That night, after Ashley was released from the hospital with a clean bill of health, the three of them sat in their hotel room. Brianna made hot chocolate. Ashley sat wrapped in blankets, still processing what had happened. I died, Ashley said quietly. I know I did. I stopped breathing, my heart stopped, and then he touched me. and I came back. Vanessa nodded. I saw it. I saw everything. Who was he? Brianna asked. Did you get his name? Did anyone else see him? Vanessa looked at Ashley. No one else saw him, just us. Then who? It was Jesus, Ashley said, her voice firm. I know it sounds crazy. I know it doesn't make sense. But it was him. I felt it. Brianna stared at her. You're serious? Yes. Brianna looked at Vanessa. Do you believe that? Vanessa was quiet for a long time. Then she nodded. Yes, I do. That night, after the others had fallen asleep, Vanessa sat by the window, staring out at the dark lake. She thought about her mom, about the years of anger and bitterness she'd carried, about the prayers she'd stopped praying because she thought they didn't matter, and for the first time in a long time, she prayed. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm sorry I blamed you. I'm sorry I walked away. I don't understand why things happened the way they did, but thank you. Thank you for saving Ashley. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for not giving up on me. She waited, listening, and in the quiet, she felt it. A warmth in her chest, a peace she hadn't felt in years. He was there. He'd always been there, and he always would be. The next morning, they packed up and headed home. On the drive back, Ashley was quiet, staring out the window. I'm going to church when we get back, she said suddenly. Vanessa looked at her, surprised. Really? Yeah. I don't know what I believe yet. But after yesterday, I think I need to figure it out, Vanessa smiled. Can I come with you? Ashley grinned. I was hoping you'd say that. 3 weeks later, the story made local news. College student survives ice plunge at Lake Windermere. The article interviewed Ashley, who told the reporters about the man who'd saved her. He pulled me out of the water. He brought me back to life. I don't know who he was, but I know he saved me. A rescue diver named Tom Hendricks, who'd been called to the scene, was interviewed. Based on the water temperature and the amount of time she was under, she shouldn't have survived. The human body shuts down in water that cold. The fact that she's alive, with no brain damage, no organ failure, it's medically impossible. The reporter asked, So how do you explain it? Tom shook his head. I can't. But Ashley and Vanessa could. They visited Lake Windermere one more time, in the spring after the ice had melted. They stood on the shore, looking out at the water, remembering. Do you ever wonder if it really happened? Ashley asked. Vanessa shook her head. No, I know it did. Me too. They stood there in silence for a while. Then Vanessa spoke. He told me he'd be with me. Every step, and I think I'm starting to believe that. Ashley smiled. Me too. Years later, Vanessa became a doctor. She specialized in emergency medicine, working in trauma centers, saving lives. And every time she lost a patient, every time she did everything she could and it still wasn't enough, she remembered the day on the lake. She remembered Jesus kneeling beside Ashley, speaking one word, breathe. And she remembered that some healings happen here and some happen on the other side. But either way, he was there. Ashley became a youth pastor. She told her story hundreds of times, to kids who'd lost hope, to teenagers who thought God didn't care, to families who were drowning in their own pain. And every time she told it, she ended the same way. I died, and he brought me back, not because I deserved it, but because he loved me, and he loves you too, no matter what. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who's drowning, someone who thinks they're too far gone, someone who's stopped believing that God hears them. Because God is still breaking through the ice, and he's still pulling people out of the darkness. You're not drowning alone, you never were. And the one who commands the waters is reaching for you right now.